All right, welcome to the Well for May. It's May 12th, 2025. Welcome, everyone. I'm Maria Mellano from Integral Bloom with Angela Marie from Grounded Dreamers. All right, well, we're going to go right into our reading, but first let's pause and just take a moment to get centered and grounded and find breath. Take a breath in. Use that breath to oxygenate all your cells. Take a few breaths in and out, and just take a moment to grow roots down into the earth. And take a moment to think about whatever it is in your life, wherever you are in your journey, what you're grateful for. And anchor that gratitude. And let's move into the reading. Last month's reading was a powerful one, from upheaval to trust. And today's reading is interestingly aligned with trust too. So I'm excited for it to come through.
Okay, let's see. We'll continue that journey of
The
the
trust journey.
journey.
Isn't it really all about trust,
It
actually?
is, and maintaining it, and we don't achieve it and stay there. It's
Right.
it's a,
It's a
it's a constant
practice.
practice. Yeah.
Totally.
So we're gonna start this one out with fear. So not just the upheaval, but then the emotions that are there. Um, we all carry fear. This particular interpretation is where, and this is what most fear is fear of the unknown,
Yeah.
right? Like the shark is represented in this card by the fear. And
Mm.
we tend to, oh, don't go in the water, the shark might kill you. When in
Done
truth,
it, done it.
right? And in truth, it's not, sharks are not inherently dangerous to humans. And when there is an interaction, it's usually out of like confusion or some misled moment. They're not coming after you, right? But this is what we feel in our mind with the fear. We feel like, what's coming and how horrible is it going to be? And our work
Need
here
it.
is to, yeah, it gets overwhelming. And our work is to stop and sort of look at it, discern what part of this is real,
Mm.
what part of this fear is a real reaction to something that's happening in front of me now, which is that kind of fear is a little fleeting because you something happens, you get scared, and then you get safe. You find safety, right? But these are those fears that stay harbored in your system, and so we have to determine which of these are sort of that we manifested after all this
Yeah.
time of worrying about the unknown, right? So
Yeah,
we
you
really
just said
want
something
to.
really important. I just want to highlight. You said fears that harbor in your system. That's really important because, I'm thinking about Bessel van der Kolk wrote a very famous book, The Body Keeps Score, basically, and how our system and our body actually does hold on. It does harbor experience. It harbors
For sure.
emotion. Yeah. So I just wanted to bring awareness to that because that's actually also why it's so important to process feeling and emotion so that it can
All of them.
clear.
Yeah. And it's true. We know that eventually if you harbor them long enough, they manifest into ailments in your body. And yeah, and that's this work here is to determine and to find like a point of respecting the fear and then maybe understanding it a little better. Like the shark just really wants to be understood that he's not after you, right? He's just doing
Yeah.
his thing, swimming in the water. And if you cross paths with him, he might get confused and freak out, but he's not after you, right? And that's how we want to interpret this as it relates to our fears. It's not something coming at you. We could be manufacturing a lot of it,
The
and how much of
victimness,
this
right?
do we own? Yeah.
Yeah. It's a mindset shift from being a victim.
Exactly. And yeah, that fight flight feeling, that does have a effect on your system. We know that, right? Increased heart rate, lack of sleep, whatever, so it's up to us to find a way to move beyond it. And one of the first ways, obvious, and it happens to be today as well, is the full moon in Scorpio card. It's time to release negativity. And this doesn't mean, oh, okay, I recognize this negativity, I'm just going to leave it behind. That we know it's not a one and done, it's a process. But as the fear arises, and then we may have a negative thought, like, I'm never going to get past this or whatever. That's what you want to cancel and clear. That's what you want to replace with a more positive, forward, active, solution or movement or mindset, whatever it is, wherever it has to start for you.
Mm-hmm.
But releasing that negativity is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to the card called realignment. And this is now finding that flow of life and moving with it. Realignment, sometimes we think of it as, and it is, realign your internal systems and make sure all your chakras are aligned or your energy centers are aligned. But this is also in relation to the way life moves. And, it is depicted by an ocean kind of a look, the ebb and flow is what it says there. And if we are fighting against that flow, right, you're trying to dive, swim into the wave, there's no real fast, noticeable progress. But if you're moving with it and just letting it take you where it needs to go, being part of that movement of life, then there's a little more ease there. And you may come on moments where, oh, this is a little frightening and I don't really know what's going to happen next. But then something comes, the wave comes and moves you in a safer direction or moves you towards something else to focus on. And that's the trick right there with that realignment. The more you allow that flow, you're moving further away from the fear. The fear is not going to chase you like the shark, right? And then it comes to have you realize the power of your choices
Mm-hmm.
and the choices of the things you decide to focus on, the choices of, you know, this thing's coming at me and it's overwhelming. Well, I choose to, skirt it a little bit and move out of its way and just let it play out however it needs to, or the choice to go in and fight it and wrestle with it. Every step, every decision, every moment we're making a choice. And this reading is encouraging us to make a choice to focus on abundance. Where in your life are things going well? Where is what relationships do you have that enhance your life? Where is your enrichment? Some of it may just be in, your evening meditation where you can really just have all this gratitude before you go to sleep. That will help move things along, as we know, focusing on the appreciation of what is going well in our lives. And that lands us into the Lover's card. And for this reading, I'm taking this as self-compassion. That sort of highest form, the highest use of our heart is in compassion, usually for others and being able to understand. But we're really working on ourselves here because it's our fear that is in there that we're trying to dissipate. And so focusing on the abundance and then really loving ourselves and knowing that instead of judging and saying, I didn't move past this fear fast enough, it's really just embracing that I'm learning from this, I'm moving forward and I'm growing, and then loving yourself through it. And then that brings me to courage. This is one of my greatest cards. I love this card because it's just taking what life is bringing you. Like we had
Mm-hmm.
that choice card, right? When life brings you something, you make a decision. And this is really just asking you to embrace it all because that ebb and flow, that movement will take you, to the right place. It's always right timing if you're moving with it. And the unknown could be something beautiful, like the bud that sprouts from the seed. So letting
Through the
that stuff
concrete.
through the concrete, yeah. And then, so we arrive at the last card. Remember, we
Mm-hmm.
started with fear and we end up with trust. And
Mm-hmm.
I love that because the last reading, I guess, was upheaval and trusting through it. And this is really kind of the same concept. The trust card is depicted by the horse, that loyal animal.
Mm-hmm.
But also, remember, we said discernment in your fear, in your fear. Also, discernment in your trust, which is
Mm-hmm.
leading me to say, trust yourself. That when you come upon a moment
Trust your instincts.
and yeah, trust instead of this, because fear is usually a manufactured thought of the future. That's kind of what it is. It's suffering from your imagination. And with the trust card, it's bringing you to this moment and saying, I trust myself that when I come, if it comes to that point of my biggest fear, I will know what decision to make. And that
Right.
comes back to the choices again, right? So it's really reining it all in and
Right.
trusting that you're going to make the right move when you need to. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the past is in the present, filtering how we're experiencing what's there right for us or trustworthy. And then or we're in the future and the future is in the like we're not in the present, fully in the present when we're in fear because there's so much getting created. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And also I just want to acknowledge that we're both like struggling with like tickles in our throat. And
Yeah.
for me, it's
I'm gonna mute and cough for a second.
I know I did. It's the pollen for me. It's just it's a lot. But anyway, so sorry for the disruption. But
I might have caught it through the screen. It was contagious. No, I'm just kidding.
well, beautiful reading about trust. So let's just take a moment to acknowledge, just take a moment to pause before we do the other half of the reading and just feel into your own system where you might be harboring old story, past fear, energy that you can just take a deep breath in right now and just release it from your system. I'm going to do that a few times. And this is really a reading about distilling between fact and interpretive fears and getting clear of those interpretations because we can create empowering interpretations that support trust and support our journey. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and start to think about what from this reading is inspiring your intention for this month. So, on that note, let's do the second half of the reading. And
Okay. So we're continuing from the trust card, knowing that in the moment that it's needed, I will make the decision that's best for me, trusting yourself. And I got a time of healing. So I would say if you're looking at this in the month of May, it could be sometime in the future that you're upon this reading, but currently we're due for a time of healing, I think, starting with ourselves.
right
There's
on.
a lot to be healed in the world. But if we start that with ourselves, that energy starts to connect and it starts to sort of tentacle out to others and then you start healing family and you start healing community and it really starts, but it has to start within you. So remembering that and the best way to begin to heal for me is like I was saying earlier, it's nature, animals, that's where life ongoing life, shows up for us. It's not
Yeah.
everything that goes through our minds as we tend to want to think as humans with our personas, leading the way. But incorporate the ongoing life cycles that are always present, right? In nature, I pulled breath, and that's where I'm leading to. This is being out in nature. And when we just did the breath exercise, I was like, yeah, that's life. The oxygen is
Absolutely.
literally life. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, keeping that flow, really pausing to allow yourself to use your breath and use the elements to realign your energy. And then we're back to like that lover's card when I said self-care, self-compassion, it's coming up again. So this is it's quite potent, I think, that feeling of it says you are loved unconditionally here on this card.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that you are loved unconditionally by the divine, by the universe, by the people around you, but
Mm-hmm.
also to tap into under all those layers of fear and judgment and worry, that love that is there for self. It's there. Your soul behind everything that's happening always loves you without judgment. And maybe you held on to a fear for a long time. There is no judgment about that. Your soul knows the lesson. Your soul knows the timing is right. And so, really trying to find that energy deep within you that can assure you, right, you're on the right track. Then I got waterproof, which I love because this is reminding you you're always protected, right? The crow has that feather, the coating that doesn't allow water to seep into its body. It just rolls off. And this is you as far as your own energy. It's protected
Mhm.
by yourself. But what we tend to do is pile on, worry, fear, flight, fight, vibration, and we think we're protecting ourselves when
Yeah.
protection's there already, right? That just by being here and alive and a soul interacting in the collective, you're protected. And this is what we tend to forget, right? So we try to manufacture other layers that keep ourselves safe from harm, but that also can create a space of immobility where we're
Mhm.
not allowing ourselves to grow and move forward. So keeping that in mind, then from our little place of protection and our acknowledgement that we're held, then we get to start to focus toward joy. Now,
Mhm.
remember, we don't jump from fear to joy, right?
Mhm.
We're moving
Mhm.
through this, right? We're peeling layers. We're
Mhm.
creating new acknowledgments, a new connection to the divine and to our own core.
Mhm.
That starts to let us recognize more joy in our experience because really it's always around us. And it's a
Mhm.
choice what to point our toes toward, which road to point our toes down.
Mhm.
And then once we start to recognize that joy, I got totality. It's being fully in it and milking it for a while if you can, right?
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
letting it permeate everything and letting yourself then operate from a place of joy and gratitude instead of that more constricted space of fear and worry.
Mhm. And
And
scarcity that happens
in the
inside that
lack,
space.
yes, for
Mhm.
sure. So then with this practice, we're in this joy, right? We're feeling it. And now there's a sense of elevation, a rebirth. There's a new level that your soul is reaching. And every part of our, because we all go through, we go down one road in life till we run out of road. Like we can't go in that direction anymore. We know it's destructive. Maybe it's these persistent thoughts
Mhm.
need to make a change, right? That is the point of growth. That's when we begin to elevate the way we see things. And we go through this over and over in our lives. So
Mhm.
if we are really doing that inner work, we're constantly, raising our vibration. And, that's what this practice is as well. Just being able to have a little higher perspective each time.
Mhm.
And then the final card is celebration. This one I love
Mhm.
because it's the perfect pinnacle. It's like, yeah. And
Mhm.
I've reached this point where I can celebrate my growth and I look forward to the next one because it's not
Mhm.
like I've grown this and now I'm done. I don't have to worry about anything ever again. No, we're going to do it again, right? But celebrate each accomplishment, each level that you reach for your own soul's growth. Yeah,
Celebration as a practice is such an important part of cultivating a joyful life.
really is.
And, especially at this difficult time in our culture, joy is an expression of joy, and celebration is actually a form of resistance. It's a form of activism,
Mhm.
I think. So it just made me think of that too. So thank you so much, as always, for such an uplifting aligned reading. And I just want to say too, just for people to know, the full moon in Scorpio and the card that Angela pulled for full moon in Scorpio, that was not planned, that was spontaneous. So I always like to talk about how authentic this reading always is.
Yeah, it came out
So
and I just had to kind of laugh. It was like,
I
of course,
know
it's
I'm
you. Yeah,
perfect.
great.
So okay, beautiful. Well, the next pause at the well is the first Monday of June, and your salon or your happy hour
Mhm. First Wednesday of June. Yeah.
first Wednesday of June, and amazing. And also, so if you like this experience with our reading, click like. um and I guess have a beautiful month, and be intentional with, I hope this inspired you to be intentional with your month. So have a great month. Thank you so much.